all hard, grit and grind.
Hi, Lee Smith here for GritGrindGrizz.com. Well, I've been quiet here in the offseason so far ever since the Grizzlies got eliminated in the first round by the Oklahoma City Thunder. But the draft is coming up Thursday and trade season is coming up right after that. So I had an idea and I want you to check this out. I've got an idea for how the Grizzlies instantly jump into championship contender status. Carmelo Anthony has opted out of his contract in New York. Now, rumors have it that he is looking maybe at Chicago, maybe at Houston. He might even go to Miami. But Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies, may yet be the best fit for Carmelo. Hear me out. Here's why. One, we all know if you watch the Grizzlies all season, you know they would go painfully long stretches without being able to buy a bucket. Well, how do you fix that? You get one of the top scoring champs in the league. Has won the scoring title before, can go get a bucket by himself. Sure, Mike Conley can do that some. Zach Randolph is still a beast on the post, as is Marc Gasol, but they're big guys. You have to get them the ball first. How much better would it be to be able to throw it to someone like a Melo, who you know can both post up, can make a three, can drive to the basket, can pretty much score at will. He's a scoring machine. Memphis needs a scoring machine. Here's another reason why it would work for Memphis. I love Tayshaun Prince. He's a great guy, but he's not the long-term answer at small forward for the Grizzlies. So there's an immediate opening available for him. And finally, for Memphis, it would be having star power. I mean, we have never, unless you include Allen Iverson, we've never had a certified NBA star to be on the Memphis Grizzlies roster. So I think if Carmelo were able to come here, it would certainly give the Memphis Grizzlies a lot of star power. Okay, so here's a question. Why would Carmelo Anthony want to come to Memphis? Well, Memphis is one of those teams that's really only one player away, and it happens to be the position that he plays, small forward. Everybody in the league, though they don't talk about it until the Grizzlies look up and they're taking Oklahoma City to 4 overtime and a 7-game series, epic series. Nobody talks about the Grizzlies being legit championship contenders, but Memphis is one player away, and Carmelo's skill set fit this Grizzlies roster so perfectly. Another reason why Carmelo might do it, there's already great team chemistry. The players all like each other already, and they're well coached by Coach Yeager, and I think Carmelo could fit real nicely into that. Third, some would say Memphis is too small a market for him, but we've seen most obviously in this year's finals how a long-term strategy, a team that can contend for a long time, like the San Antonio Spurs, who are now the NBA champs, players are willing to take a step back financially. So yeah, it would be a step back, but guess what? Carmelo, you've already made millions and millions and millions of dollars. Money's not the most important thing to you at this point. And besides, it's not like the endorsements are going to go away, because guess what? You talk about star power, you're already a star. I mean, you were a star in Denver, and Denver's not a big market. I don't think Kevin Durant is having a hard time getting endorsements where he is in Oklahoma City. He's not in a big market. You're a star. Star power is going to follow you wherever you go, especially if you're on a winning team like the Memphis Grizzlies would be if you came to Memphis. So, what would have to happen for Carmelo to come to Memphis? Well, I'm not a salary cap expert, but here is a very broad strokes look at what would have to happen for Carmelo to come to Memphis. First and foremost, obviously, Carmelo would have to want to come to Memphis. And I'm looking at guys like you, Zach, and you, Carmelo, and Mike Conley, and even Tony Allen to make a couple phone calls and see if you can get the guy on the phone and tell him how great a fit he would be here in Memphis. Secondly, yes, Carmelo, you would have to take a step back financially. Probably about an $80 million contract over 4 years is what I'm guessing, which is still averaging about $20 million a year. And like I said, you're already rich. Money isn't the most important thing. You want to be on a roster that is already ready to contend for multiple championships for years to come. What else would have to happen? Well, for one thing, Zach Randolph would probably have to not only opt out of his contract, but he'd have to take a little bit less money. Zach might be willing to do this because, one, he wants to stay in Memphis long term, And two, like we've seen with so many other players, maybe he's willing to take a little bit less money if it means he gets to be on a team that has a great shot at competing for a championship. And Zach, I think, knows that Carmelo is the kind of player that you take a step back for if it means getting you over to the top and getting you to the Larry O'Brien Trophy. A couple other things would have to happen for the Grizzlies to really have a serious shot at bringing Carmelo to Memphis. And of course, I'm talking about Tayshaun Prince's contract. Tayshaun's due to make about $8 million next year. And if the Grizzlies were able to work out a sign and trade, specifically with New York, you could send Tayshaun's expiring contract to New York. That contract comes off the book in the summer of 2015, which is when they want to have a lot of cap space to really be able to attract the players to play under Phil Jackson and Derek Fisher. They were planning to rebuild anyway. They're going to want a lot of cap space. Tayshaun's contract is expiring. It could work. Now, in order to make that deal that much sweeter, you might have to throw in a few more pieces. Perhaps I'm thinking a draft pick or two. And it just so happens that the Grizzlies have a young, promising, athletic small forward under contract right now anyway, who's an unrestricted free agent. I'm talking about James Johnson. Sign and trade him to a reasonable deal that New York would accept. Send him and Tayshaun Prince along with a few draft picks to the Big Apple, and Carmelo comes to Memphis. And what do we have? We have a starting lineup: Mike Conley, Tony Allen, Carmelo Anthony, Zach Randolph, and Marc Gasol. Can you imagine the possibilities? I see definitely a team that takes a step forward in the ever-competitive race in the Western Conference, maybe even a championship caliber team. So if you're paying attention to this Carmelo, give it some thought. If you're paying attention to this Chris Wallace, Robert Parra, John Hollinger, all of the Grizzlies front office people, make some phone calls. I think it'll be a great move for the team next year. For GritGrindGrizz.com, I'm Lee Smith. Go Grizz.